What's up, gang? Kawaii50 here with another fake Grand Order video, and there are just so many good summer servants. It is insane. This year is absolutely insane. I know a ton of people were excited for Summer Kiara. I know a ton of people were excited for Summer Abby. A ton of people are excited for Summer Murasaki, myself included, and I still don't have her as of recording this video. But this video is not for me. This video is for you, those of you out there who are super stoked to see Summer Tomoe, master of VR Shinkage Ryu. We're going to go ahead and go over Tomoe's best allies, craft essences, and command codes so that you can make her an absolute force of nature to be reckoned with on your team, much like her archer variation. Hopefully this video helps you out, and if it does, be sure to go ahead, like, and subscribe. Tomoe's deck consists of 1 quick, 2 arts, and 2 buster cards with an AoE Arts Noble Phantasm. Her max HP of 12,233 is respectable, as is her max attack of 9,544. Her NP per hit is honestly pretty solid at a 0.55, considering she's got those multiple arts cards, the ability to arts Brave Chain, and they've got a substantial number of 3 hits. Her star absorption is very middle of the road, as can be expected of a Saber. Tomoe's first skill is Midnight of Summer Side A. This gives her an instance of Guts and also increases her critical strength by 50 to 100% for 3 turns. Unfortunately, this comes with a downside. Tomoe has stayed up too late playing video games, and because of that, after 3 turns, she's gonna be stunned for a single turn while she goes ahead and fuels up with Monster Energy or G Fuel. And this is actually a very, very good critical buff. 50 to 100% is huge, but you got to make sure you time it right, because even if you have some sort of debuff immunity, well, staying up too late counts as a buff, so it just goes straight through that. We are actually going to go ahead and max this skill last. Summer Tomoe's second skill is VR Shinkage Ryu rank B+. This gives her 1 turn of 20 to 30% increased arts card effectiveness, and also increases her arts card crit star gather rate by 300 to 500% for 1 turn. We're going to go ahead and max this first, as it is her main damage steroid, and you're likely going to be using this on the final turn if you loop with Tomoe using Castoria. But this skill does have a dual use. It is actually fairly respectable if you are fighting enemies and need that 1 turn of superior arts card crit damage. Yep, you can use her for challenge quests as well, much like her master, Munenori. And Tomoe's final skill is Survival Hill and Valley rank EX. This grants her 15 to 25 crit stars immediately, and then an additional 5 to 10 crit stars each turn for 3 turns. Also gives her an instance of debuff immunity, which would be a lot better if her first skill's debuff didn't count as a buff. Absolute shame, we almost had someone completely busted here. We're gonna go ahead and max this skill second to get those sweet, sweet critical stars. For Tomoe's Append Skills, we're going to go with Load Magical Energy. A 10 to 20% starting NP gauge is good on just about anybody, and Tomoe is no exception. Tomoe's Noble Phantasm is VR Shinkage Ryu Hidden Technique, Tomoe ga Fuchi Taiyo Ken, rank B. This grants her arts and buster card effectiveness by 20% for 1 turn, and it activates before the damage is dealt. It's going to hit all of your enemies for a pretty solid 450 to 750% damage, and it's going to burn them. It's also going to apply an additional burn effect called Spreading Fire on all enemies for 5 turns. This is entirely affected by overcharge, and the burn damage is going to increase based on the position that it is in. So you can make Tomoe a sort of pseudo burn debuffer if you're so inclined to want to go ahead and do something different. As far as NP levels go, this follows the general rule that NP2 is the biggest jump. NP1 from NP2 is the biggest jump in terms of damage. So that's going to be the sweet spot you want to go for. So who do we pair Tomoe with to maximize her effectiveness? Well, Caster Artoria, of course, the absolute bombshell of a servant that has been flipping up the meta on NA. Now, she is probably the best bet for both looping Lancer enemies as well as challenge quests because of that insane invincibility buff. However, if you don't have a caster Artoria, of course Tomoe no Mai also works as an art supporter, as does caster Gilgamesh. There are, of course, some more budget-friendly options to support Tomoe with, and I'm going to go ahead and go over a few of those right now. Hans is, of course, our ultimate budget pick, and he desperately needs that costume from the summer event. I will be waiting for it. Hans, of course, can give all allies a massive critical strength boost, which Tomoe will much appreciate if she's fighting a single enemy, and he can generate critical stars and NP gauge for one ally every single turn for 3 turns as well with the Little Mermaid's Love. This is absolutely excellent because it stacks with Tomoe's own star generation skill. His Noble Phantasm also grants attack, defense, HP per turn, and crit star drop rate as well. All bonuses Tomoe would quite like. And since Tomoe is a Saber, let's go ahead and take a peek at some other Saber supporters, starting with Gaius Julius Caesar. The main reason we want Caesar here is because, well, he's actually a really good supporter for Sabers. Insight rank EX increases an ally's critical strength by 20 to 40% and also increases their critical star drop rate. He has a charisma buff that can increase all allies' attack, and his tactic skill increases all allies' NP strength. I know some players will sleep on Caesar since he was, released right at the beginning of the game, but he's really still a very good servant to have on a team. And if we're talking Sabers from a recent summer event, how can we ignore the Prince of Lan Ling? Lan Ling was already an incredible Saber supporter, and his new costume just really makes me want to use him more. Demonic Visage is great, increasing all allies' arts card effectiveness and their critical star drop rate and critical strength, all buffs Tomoe would very much like to see. He can also increase an ally's NP gauge and grant them all an attack boost while giving himself some sweet invincibility. Prince of Lan Ling in battle is an excellent Noble Phantasm, decreasing the enemy's NP charge and critical rate and giving your allies a damage cut and solid attack boost. When it comes to Summer Tomoe's craft essences, it really depends on what you're using for. If you are using Summer Tomoe to loop, of course, your absolute mega whale option is going to be a max limit broken black grail. But dolphins don't fear, there are some other options you can pick with her as well. Painting Summer is of course one of the premier budget options. I've actually used this myself to great effect with some looping servants. Tomoe is absolutely going to be no exception. You can also of course give her something like Mark on a Smiling Face. This is a very good CE for arts looping as well if you don't have that black grail. If however you are bringing Tomoe to fight a single enemy on a challenge quest, you want to really go ahead and make use of that arts crit effectiveness, consider something on her like Another Ending to grant arts card effectiveness as well as critical strength. The general rule is if you're looping with Tomoe, go ahead and give her NP strength, arts card effectiveness, or NP gain, and if you're using her just to fight a really difficult challenge quest, well, arts card effectiveness and critical strength are what you're going to want to focus on. And finally, let's take a look here at command codes. When it comes to any servant you want to focus on any sort of looping, of course you can go ahead and give them some NP damage increasing command codes. The biggest one, of course, is Da Vinci Chan. If you somehow still have this in your command code box, now might be the time to dust it out. Grants NP damage up by 15% for 1 turn when attacking using the engraved card. You have to use the card before you use the Noble Phantasm, but the damage trade-off is always going to be worth it. Wizard of Menlo Park is another great one. This grants NP damage up as well as an increased NP generation rate. The same rules apply for this one as it does with Da Vinci Chan. Beyond that though, we can actually go ahead and focus on some sort of critical damage. We can go ahead and give Tomoe's arts cards an even higher chance to draw those critical stars with something like Immature Illusionary Command Seal. Any sort of critical star draw on those arts cards is just going to supplement that second skill that only lasts for 1 turn, and it's going to be very effective in having your Tomoe take down pesky single enemies. Going beyond that, while she does have a debuff immunity, it only lasts once, so you might want something else on there to cleanse debuffs. Code Cure is going to be the staple freebie option to go with this. And as always, when it comes to that pesky quick card, let's get a little more critical stars out of it. Go ahead and give her something like Code Glitter. Overall, gang, Summer Tomoe is a pretty dang good Saber and an excellent addition to your team. She of course has the ability to loop on Lancer waves, being an art servant, so she ends up pairing very well with Castoria, but beyond that, she also has the ability to go ahead and fight enemies one-on-one with some of Munenori's 6 skills that were taught to her. Unfortunately, she doesn't end up excelling more than some other servants in either of these options. I mean, when it comes to looking at fighting single enemies, Munenori still will take the cake just because he's got that single target noble phantasm and he's more focused in doing that. And when it of course comes to some of that classic Castoria looping, well, she's not going to beat Summer Musashi, she's not going to beat Space Ishtar, and there is a very budget-friendly option when it comes to looping against Lancers in the form of Jason, so a lot of players might just end up going and heading towards that man. However, Tomoe is still a respectable addition to your team, and she still is able to provide you with a solid Saber, so if you pull her, you should be excited. But of course, I want to know what you all think, so let me know your thoughts about Summer Tomoe down in the comment section below. Let me know what allies, craft essences, or command codes I might have missed, and let me know what your favorite ascension for Summer Tomoe is. I personally am quite partial to her final one. If you want to talk more about Summer Tomoe, or any FGO character in particular, my Discord server is of course always open. I want to give a big thanks to patrons on Patreon, subscribers and followers on Twitch, and of course all of you here on YouTube for giving me the motivation to continue making these videos. I really do appreciate it. But anyways, gang, that's it for me, Kawaii50. I hope you all have a phenomenal day, and I'll see y'all in the next video.